Good evening, I'm Eugene Chan and welcome to Straight Talk. Last week, we had two recent DSE graduates on our show, one from a non-English speaking background and the other from the mainland. We talked about how well our education system caters for all our students from all different backgrounds and abilities. This evening, we have two more recent graduates who will also share their experiences and insights. On my left is Jonathan Chan, and on the right is Agnes Lau. Welcome. So let's start with Jonathan, you're being the gentleman. Maybe you can share with our viewers which school you went to and how happy are you with the results?
Well, I went to Diocesan Boys School, and I'm definitely pretty satisfied with my results, yeah.
And Agnes?
I went to Yinghua Girls' School, and I'm also very satisfied with it.
Right, and I think that both of you are the super top scorers, am I correct?
Yes.
Maybe, Agnes, you can explain to the viewers what are top scorers and what are super top scorers?
Okay, so the difference between top scorers and super top scorers is that for super top scorers, they also score 5 double star in the mathematics extended part and module 1 or 2. So for both Jonathan and I, Jonathan takes M2 and I take M1, and we, apart from the core subjects and the 3 electives, we also score 5 double star in our mathematics extended module.
Right. So there are only eight of you who are super top scorers. So Jonathan, did you expect this result or it came as a real surprise?
It was still pretty much a surprise to me because I thought I had messed up a few subjects at first.
Right.
But yeah, so it's kind of a surprise as well.
Right. So Agnes, for yourself, are you surprised?
Yes, I was quite surprised at that moment, but then I was very grateful because without all the help I received from my parents and my school and all the support I have, I wouldn't be able to achieve this result.
Right. Since you mentioned about parents, I mean, how did they support you so that you had such great results? Okay,
so since I'm the only child in my family, since I was small, they have given all the support and love they have to me. And for example, they would cook for me so that I can grow up healthy, and they would always talk to me so that I can relax when I'm studying hard.
Mm-hmm. And I think your parents are here today as well.
Yes.
What would you say to them in front of 7 million population?
Thank you, and I love you.
Thank you. Right, and Jonathan?
Yeah, I think I'm also really grateful for my parents as well. My parents have also tried their best to provide me with a lot of care and support, not just academically, but also mentally by probably talking with me when I'm feeling stressed about the DSE, you know. And yeah, I'm really grateful for all they've done for me.
When you say you're stressed, how stressed are you?
Pretty stressed, I would say. But sometimes it's like, you know, just burned out from all the work when you feel like probably you've done quite something, like a lot of practice, but still not much improvement sometimes. Mm-hmm. And probably you really feel like the target or the goal of DSE is quite far away still. And you feel like you're feeling not too powered. And right. That's when your parents come in and, you know, give you a little bit of mental encouragement.
Right. I mean, you're from an all-boys school.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been to boys' school myself. I've been to co-ed school. Can you show your weakness in front of other boys when you're stressed?
Well, yeah, I think I can because, like, especially in front of friends I trust, I think that we just get honest and frank sometimes. And when I'm feeling frustrated, I just vent to them about how I feel about certain subjects or maybe how frustrated I am sometimes. And yeah, they're pretty good listeners, so they just listen to what I talk about. And sometimes they share with me their problems as well. So I think we're okay with opening up to each other, definitely.
Right. So both of you have one thing in common, that you both had the support from the Academy of Gifted Education. And I must declare that, I mean, I have the privilege of being the chairman of the advisory committee. So anything about the gifted education, you can tell me direct, and we will definitely we'll make some improvement or reinforcement of good work we have done. So I mean, all these was established by our past chief executive, Donald Zhang, and the academy, which is funded by the government, work with schools and universities, and we provide a lot of, off-school gifted education programs. So how much time do you spend with the Academy of Gifted Education?
Okay, so talking about gifted education, I remember I joined a competition called the International Biology Olympiad held by HKAGE last year. So it's a competition for students who are interested in biology, and during the competition we had to like drill on some past papers and study some biology that is not in our current DSE curriculum. But I found the competition really interesting because the questions are not like those up here in DSE, which means we have to think out of the box. We have to apply the knowledge we learned in the classroom into the new context in the questions. So I think this kind of education encourages us to step out of our comfort zone and not just be confined into the DSE curriculum.
Jonathan, yourself?
Well, I've taken part in IJSO, International Junior Science Olympiad myself, which is also organized by the HKAGE. And yeah, I think it's also pretty helpful because not only do you think outside of the box, as Agnes mentioned, I think there's another advantage of these competitions in the sense that they provide you with the opportunity or the medium to meet like-minded people, especially people who are gifted. Because sometimes, you know, when you're alone and you just think on your own, right? And your mindset is just your own. But then when you talk with other people who are also gifted or talented, they may inspire you as well because after all, they also have a lot of new ideas that they can share with you. And yeah, if you meet people who are actually similar to you, you may actually try to strive for excellence together. And I think that's a pretty big benefit because you're not just, you know, battling alone, but you have friends to go along the journey with you.
Right, but you know, I mean, you're all from a very good school yourself, from Diocesan Boys School. How has the academy has helped you extra to that? I mean, has it been instrumental, do you think?
I think it has been pretty beneficial to say the least, because well, it also gives you a lot of exposure. Not just, you know, meeting people. You also get to probably expose yourself to a wider range of knowledge. As Agnes mentioned, you think outside of the box. You don't just probably, you know, do exam-oriented stuff, which is what the schools probably aim to teach us, because after all, they're trying to prepare us for the public exams. Whereas these competitions, these courses, probably organized by the HKAGE, their main goal is not to, you know, prepare you for any exam, but probably just to enlighten students or to inspire them. So I think that it's much better because you're not as stressed to probably perform well in public exams, and also you can really try to broaden your horizons.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. See, one of our policy in the gifted education is we want to bring the competitions, not only from local or regional, but international competitions to the students of Hong Kong. So Agnes, I believe you're the only female super scorer this year, but you also had an Olympic bronze medal that you have, Olympic bronze medal you mentioned earlier. So how has that helped you in gaining your confidence and also your in terms of gearing up for these DSE exams?
So I think these kind of competitions not just give us confidence, but they also let us know in which areas that we have to improve. On one hand, of course, after joining these competitions, we will know what strengths we have. For example, I found my interest in science after joining these competitions, and I also know that I may be interested in exploring more in this field in the future. While on the other hand, I would know what my weaknesses are, and I would know that there are still a lot of talents and elites in the outside world, and I know that I have to work hard and to make improvements so that I can really achieve excellence.
Right. Jonathan, I mean, you had your friends from school, you had your gifted education program to help you. Do you face encounter any challenges that you felt difficult?
Well, you mean during DSE or?
Yeah, during DSE.
Well, definitely, yeah, because I think DSE is it's like a marathon. You don't just, you know, sprint in probably a month, or that's not how it works. You're supposed to maintain probably a heart for learning, or probably that sort of mindset over a long period of time. And it's inevitable that sometimes you may feel frustrated because you don't think you have performed to par or with what your expectations are sometimes, or just, you know, you feel frustrated because you don't understand certain concepts even. Well, there definitely have been difficulties, but I'm really grateful for God as well as my parents and also my friends who have provided me with lots of support to probably try to get over these difficulties along with me.
Before I forget, what will you say to your parents?
Yeah, same words. Thank you and I love you.
Thank you. So Agnes, I said last week I have asked some of our fellow students about Hong Kong system has been known for rote learning and also places a very heavy emphasis on examinations. How has that affected your learning, do you think?
So I think there must be a reason why people would think the education system in Hong Kong is exam-oriented. So I do think to a certain extent, our curriculum and mode of teaching during lessons is a bit exam-oriented because, after all, in Form 6 we have to take the DSE. So during lesson time, all the teachers have to spend some time on teaching us exam skills, because when it comes to the exam, it's not just about how much knowledge you have, but also about the skill set, about your mentality, your time management. So yes, there would be certain exam elements in lessons. While on the other hand, I think, for example, my school, I think my school is already trying to incorporate more elements apart from exams in our everyday lessons. For example, in biology, we have field trips, and for history, we would visit museums. So I think these experiences really enhance our interest and knowledge outside the textbooks.
Right, let's take a short break now, but viewers, stay tuned. We will be right back. Thank you for staying with us. We have been exploring the question, can the Hong Kong's education system produce top talents? We have Jonathan Chan and Agnes Lau, two DSE super top scorers with us this evening. So Agnes and Jonathan, thank you for sharing with us the experiences that you gained from the Hong Kong Academy of Gifted Education and how it has helped you in preparing for the exams. So let's move on to the next stage of your life. I mean, you are now about 17, 18. You're moving on to university. So Agnes, have you decided what you want to do and what is your plan?
My dream is to study medicine and become a doctor. So I hope I can study medicine in university and hopefully become a doctor whom I always aspire to be in the future. So because since I was small, I always want to use my knowledge and skills to help other people in any way I can. So I also enjoy doing some volunteer work. So when I'm studying in secondary school, I found that I'm quite interested in science subjects. So I think if I can learn more about things like a human body and why there are diseases, things like that, and by studying medicine, then I can apply my knowledge and skills into helping others to alleviate their sufferings. It's very meaningful.
Right, so where will you pursue your study of medicine?
I think I would probably go overseas because I think, although of course the medical schools in Hong Kong are very good and top, but I think by going overseas I can be exposed to more culture and I can look at how the healthcare systems in other places of the world work. So when I come back to Hong Kong, I can apply what I have learned, what I have seen into helping to improve the system in Hong Kong.
So you will come back?
I do hope to contribute to the society of Hong Kong in the future.
Right. Jonathan, yourself? Any
for
plans?
me, yeah, I'm planning to study university, medicine as well in the university. And I think I'm going to study local, most likely CU, I believe. And yeah, the reason for me to become a doctor is somewhat similar to Agnes's in the sense that I'm also quite interested in science subjects. And I think that the learning progress in medicine really can satisfy my learning desires. Apart from that, I think that it also has something to do with my own character because I feel like I'm a person who likes to probably interact with others, and I think that by being a doctor, it's not just about healing your patients physically, but also healing them mentally as well. And I think that especially in life and death situations where the patients probably are already really frustrated with probably their sicknesses, I think it's crucial that the doctor also provides mental care for them and probably try to provide them with some care, and not just focusing on the physical aspect, but also on the mental aspect as well, and that's what I aspire to become in the future.
Right. I mean, you are quite determined to tell me you're going to see you.
Yes.
Why not overseas? Why not Hong Kong you?
Well, as for why not overseas, I think that I've always been quite attached to the city, so I think that I do prefer the studying environment in Hong Kong, and also lots of my friends are studying locally as well, so that's also somewhat a concern. As for why not Hong Kong, this is a pretty interesting question.
That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, I know. It really was a difficult, tough choice for me, but I think I prefer the learning environment in CU overall, I think.
Right. I mean, like last week when we had the other two students, I said to them at Straight Talk, we do go direct into the innermost of yourself rather than just talking about general education. Someone said to us that Hong Kong's social ladder has been broken, meaning that in the past you'll be able to climb up socially by working hard and study hard, but that seems to be broken somewhat. Do you agree, Agnes?
So I think yes, to a certain extent, because for students from lower socioeconomic groups, indeed their family has less like money and resources to support their learning. For instance, they may have, they cannot join as much ECAs as other students do, and they may need to help their family, for example, in earning a living, and they may have to help with more housework after school instead of joining like tutorials or other activities like their friends. So, but I think in general, the education system in Hong Kong already provides more support to these students. There are different schemes and grants for them. So I think if more support can be provided to these students, then they would have a high hope to climb up the social ladder.
Right, Jonathan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I mostly agree with Agnes's view. I don't think that the social ladder is totally broken, but it certainly, there are some gaps to some extent. But I truly do believe in the Chinese proverb that knowledge can change lives, and that I think that if students probably from lower socioeconomic classes, they study hard enough, they definitely can get into, you know, probably some universities with good subjects or good career paths in the future. But nonetheless, it definitely is more difficult for them because, as mentioned by Agnes, there are less resources provided by these families in general. The government has already done its role, I think, somehow by providing probably free education or, you know, some grants to these students, as Agnes mentioned. But yeah, totally, there definitely could be more support provided to them in order to probably help them to progress as well.
You know, in the last few years, Hong Kong has gone through many incidents. We had the riots, and then we had the COVID, and now we are back to, I mean, the Hong Kong restart again with especially with the actual economy not doing so well. We all know that. Do you think people are more, especially the younger generation, people often say we often have to start with the young people. People of your age group, are they happy with Hong Kong right now, do you think?
Well, I think for myself, yes, there are a lot of changes in Hong Kong in recent years. But I think amidst changes, it's very important for us to hold on to our core values and what we want to do, because changes is quite common in this world. The world is developing very quickly, is ever changing. So I think although there may be challenges, but I would tell myself to have the mindset of perseverance and tell myself to keep learning and to acquire knowledge about the latest advancements, so that when I learn more and I acquire more knowledge in the future, I can apply them to suit the needs of this society.
Right, Jonathan, what do you think?
I think that for myself personally, I quite like the environment of Hong Kong, despite these changes. I think that Hong Kong has always been a pretty good environment for people in general. There definitely are things that Hong Kong could use changing, probably like in the cultural industry, maybe more improvements on that. But I would say that regardless, Hong Kong has always been a pretty nice city for, I think me and my friends would all agree that Hong Kong does provide a pretty good environment. Yeah.
So both of you are sort of, we use the word products of the Hong Kong education system, especially coupled with the sort of advanced training by the Hong Kong, with the gifted education program. So how would you rate Hong Kong education system overall, Jonathan?
I think that I would say that many people have criticized that Hong Kong's education is pretty spoon-fed, and I would say that that's to some extent true, but not entirely true, definitely. And I think that there are also some benefits in the sense that, especially for younger learners, you know, their thoughts they're not really mature yet, so they don't really know where their interests are or probably how to learn a subject, how to begin with. I think that Hong Kong's education does a pretty good job at providing an introduction for these students, probably learning the basics of certain subjects first before, you know, the students, when they get older, they get more mature and they realize their interests. Then with the introduction and with the basis that they already have, they can probably go on to dwell into the subjects on their own, for example, probably via the online resources that we have nowadays, as we are in the technological era right now. Lots of stuff that we could look into are probably participating in projects or projects or competitions or stuff like that. that, there's really lots of stuff that young people could do, I would say.
Right, yes. And as how, since you mentioned technology and I mean all these digital skills, how do you think we should incorporate them into our system? Or actually, in other words, has enough been incorporated?
So, yeah, I think technology is developing very quickly in recent years. So, for example, in school, we would also use different devices and use e-learning. Indeed, using like iPads, notebooks to maybe checking textbook pages and writing notes is more efficient compared to papers. So I think a lot of schools is already incorporating a lot of these technological elements into education. Well, I think it's always not enough because there would always be new developments. But I think the most important principle is that although there are a lot of new stuff appearing, do we have to adopt all of them? Because education should be student-oriented. So we have to pick those technologies that really help the learning of students instead of distracting them even more.
Right. So we only have the last minute of the show, and for both of you, I want to ask you a last question. You two have been really perfect products of the system. I mean, you're going to do your career that you want to do in the next few months. If you're going to say there's one problem of the Hong Kong education system, what is it and how do we fix it, in short?
I would say that if there's one problem, it's that it doesn't involve enough creative work, I would say, because at the end of the day, Hong Kong education is still pretty exam-oriented, and I think that the students are not quite confident with probably creative work, so yeah.
Right, Agnes?
So I think if I really have to pick one problem, I would say we should imbue more confidence into Hong Kong students, because maybe most students are more focused on studying and doing exam papers, but when it maybe come to presentation, they're usually less confident in doing so, or maybe it's because they're always in a very stressed environment, they're afraid of not doing well, but I hope Hong Kong students can know that each of them have their own potentials and all of them can shine very bright, so they can be more confident in themselves.
Right, I'm afraid that we have to leave it there. And as we conclude our discussion, I want to express my appreciation to our guests this evening, both Jonathan and Agnes, as well as last week's Pratik and Jenny, all top talents and products of Hong Kong's education system. We wish you all the very best for your future. As top talents from our education system, you are very much a part of the future success of Hong Kong. Thank you for joining us and have a good evening.